All right, it was my pleasure to speak with Stubby from the band Lucky Boys Confusion. They've been a staple in the Chicago area for a long, long time, making their comeback after about an 8 or 9 year hiatus. Stubby talked a lot about the comeback process, the writing process, what influenced the album. It's super interesting, and he's just a great guy for speaking with me. So, Stubby from Lucky Boys Confusion.
It's kind of started in 2006, and then we put out a B-sides thing called Closing Arguments. It had one new song in it, but they were all just B-sides, like B-sides and like demos that we did. I think we did the whole tracking in 2 days for all those songs. It wasn't like an album per se. It just happened to be some songs that we put together. Then after that, we just, playing shows, not really doing, not really being a band, just playing songs that we already had written. I mean, I guess that's being a band, but, not really working on new material at all. We were just kind of playing off the old stuff, and the theme always was kind of like, we'll just keep playing until they stop coming, and it just never happened. I mean, we were still selling out shows, so it kind of got to a point where, it was time to make a new record, and here we are, about a month away from that.
Yeah, I went to a show last summertime, packed house. I think it was sold out, maybe 3,000 people. And you guys, as a band, the chemistry looked awesome. Like, you were up there moving around and everybody was into it. Would you say you guys just kind of picked up where you left off in terms of your relationship with each other?
I don't think the relationship ever suffered. That's the weird thing about us versus a lot of other bands, is that we didn't stop making music because we didn't like each other or that we had differences. We just needed a break from what we were doing. Being on the road was getting really, really grueling, and the band wasn't really getting. We weren't even plateauing anymore. We were, descending, and so it just got to a point where it was getting frustrated. It was getting hard to live off of it. People wanted to. Change their lives a little bit of what we wanted to do. We wanted to come home. And Adam and I just had, being the primary songwriters, had a lot of, we just wanted to maybe get away, from what we'd known and what we'd really only known since, I was 19 and he was 17 when we started, and all we've known is each other and writing with each other. So we just wanted to step away and see what it was like to just be on our own.
Yeah.
And so that relationship of our friendship was always really strong. We really enjoyed each other's company. We always texted each other. We were always there at each other's important events in our lives. It wasn't like we stopped being friends. So that's why the chemistry never. I think that's another reason why the shows did well, because it didn't seem like we were just up there phoning it in or just doing it for the money, because it wasn't about that. It was, we enjoyed what we had together. We just needed some time to reflect on who we were as an individually. Everybody else had college and their first jobs. Yeah. We had the road, and we just need to get away and grow up a little bit, maybe.
And now, marriages, kids, how does that play into the band life and your new music?
It reflects, it reflects on what the songs are like and what the songs are about. I don't know if it's marriages and kids that really does that as much as just growing up. And, there's songs about, like smoking weed and chasing girls and getting drunk. just don't appeal to me anymore.
Sure.
It's, and you know, that was only a very small part of what we did in the first place. It's you know, a lot of people associate us with like being a party band. We like to party, but our music's really about that. I don't know. I mean, it's I think this is probably the most serious and most cohesive record that we've ever put out. But yeah, I mean, so I think growing up has changed a lot about what the dynamic of the music and whatnot. I don't think, I think, you know, marriage, kids, things like that, definitely affect it, but it's not, it's just one of the components of how we've grown as people.
Sure. I feel like everything you just said is like reflected in your first song, It's After Midnight. Like it's got that fast, up-tempo pace that obviously everybody expects, but at the same time, a little bit darker, but you know, not overly dark, and it's just a very mature, awesome sound to it.
Well, I mean, we were doing another interview and Adam said something that, you know, I'm just going to kind of emulate a little bit with my own touch, but it's, even when we get dark, you know, we were never the people that like didn't want to have hooky, catchy, exciting songs. I believe in the power of melody, and I believe that's the most important thing in a song. I don't think writing, you know, sometimes we will have songs that are really long and whatnot if the art demands it. But I do like a fun, concise, energetic, you know, emotionally demanding tune. Yeah, it's just the way we like to write. Even our most serious stuff, I want you to sing along to it. So it's just, or else I mean, and I get it. Like, there's a lot of metal bands that are more focused on the artist, the instrumentation, and the you know, the technique in that. And I really don't care if you play a C chord the whole time. If it sounds awesome and it makes me feel something, that's what the most important thing is. So yeah, I mean, you know, the reason we put out After Midnight first is because it sounds the most like older Lucky Boys, or more mature Lucky Boys, but people have no idea what's coming. It's After Midnight. It's awesome. I love it. It's but it's not. It's only just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of different. If people expect 12 songs like that, they're in for a big surprise, because it's not like that at all.
You got me pumped by saying that, because I love After Midnight. I think it's a great song, but I'm excited, waiting to see what you guys are going to do with different stuff.
11 more tunes, man. 11 more tunes, and they're all. It's very, like I said, it's very cohesive. It's a rock record. I mean, it's a straight up rock record, but it's our first. It's our first concept record since you know, I don't want to call it a concept record because I didn't mean to write one. It just kind of happened, but it's our first themed concept record since, I think, growing out of it. And again, I think the best records that are like that are the ones that you don't mean to write, that just kind of happen because it's organic, it's natural. But yeah, I mean, there's a underlying theme to everything, but it's not. You'll just have to hear it.
Gotcha. What is the theme, or can you say that yet, or is that kind of under wraps?
You know, it's the most autobiographical
Sure.
record that we've ever done. You know, a lot of LBC songs had a lot of storytelling in it, and even when it was about me, I put it in a different perspective. This one is you know, honestly, it's just everything that we went through from 2009 to now. It was like the last 6-7 years. You know, everything from failed marriages and love, and to Joe dying, to what it was like to go back into the real world, and after getting a taste, and just a taste of what it's like to just do music And you know, the ups and downs and the depression and the elation of getting out of that depression, you just kind of have to hear it.
Sure.
I don't know how else to explain it.
No.
It's weird to talk about your own art, you know. I know this is one of just the first interviews I'm doing, but it's hard when people ask me what my songs are about,
Sure.
because it
There's a lot to it. There's a lot behind it.
there's a lot to it, and I want you to get what you get out of it, because people came out to me back in the day, you know, and they would say like, "Oh, Fred Astaire's mine and my girlfriend's song," you know, and maybe in the beginning I'd be like, "What are you talking about?" And then later I just kind of got to the point where I was like, "That's cool. Okay, I guess I can see kind of where you're coming from on that." And it really doesn't matter if I get where you're coming from on it, because once I pressed this record, the songs are yours. You know, it's for you to take what you want out of it. So yeah, we'll see. We're a month away. You know, we'll see what people think.
That's awesome. I think that's a mistake I make so much as like a big fan of music, but somebody who can't create music to save his life is I want to know what the artist is thinking, but then in reality, the artist wants you to take from it what you can get from it. I think that's a really cool perspective.
I think there's a fine balance. I think it's good to not just make a song about, you know, the relationship between a child and his parent into a love song, or you know, taking the biggest song, one of the biggest songs in history, "Every Breath You Take" by the Police, a stalker song, and making it into a love song. So I mean, there's a there's a point to where, you know, where you're kind of making it, but I mean, whatever, you know. I mean, it's like if that song makes you feel nice and makes you want to do your first dance with the love of your life, hey, whatever.
Sure.
You know, if It's After Midnight is, you take it as a call to arms, or if you take it as you know, love falling apart and getting back and coming back out of the ashes, which is kind of what I was talking about.
Sure.
Then cool, you get that. But if you take it as like this is my fuck you song to my ex-girlfriend, hey, whatever. Take what you want out of it. I mean, as long as you're listening, I'm happy, you know? So.
What was it therapeutic after all the band's been through to write this album and put it together?
Nah, not really. Well, see, that's a weird question, because I've been writing these songs for 6 years.
That's true.
So so maybe it was for the other guys, but I've been at it for a little bit longer than them. And it's weird because for example, like It's After Midnight, I think I wrote that in 2012 or something like that, and I didn't write it as a look. When I was writing these records, writing these songs, I wasn't thinking about making an LBC record. I was just writing because I was really in a really, really bad place, and I needed to write. So people like, I wasn't writing a Lucky Boys Confusion record until I wrote Storm Chaser, and then I knew that song had to be a Lucky Boys song. So I wasn't really when people say, was this therapeutic for you? Because, you know, when the few people that I've actually heard this record through are like, wow, you know, you really put yourself out there. It was really therapeutic for you. I'm like, yeah, it was. The whole process was therapeutic, and that's what the record's about. I mean, is my hitting rock bottom and coming back up even stronger than I was before. So it's hard to say it was therapeutic, because the whole process was therapeutic, and then that process of these songs became the Lucky Boys Confusion record. It wasn't that the Lucky Boys Confusion record was my therapy. This therapy became the record in my mind. I don't know how Adam looks at it. I don't know how the other guys look at it, but, you know, the songs that I wrote, that's what I meant.
That makes sense.
That's how I was doing it. Writing with them was therapeutic, and then 5 years later, I got together with the band and started arranging them with the guys. So
Got it. What's it like for you now? Because there's Chicago, obviously such a massive rock and roll and punk rock and music scene. What's it like for you guys to play with a band and have them maybe tell you, "Hey, we listened to you when we were kids, and you inspired us to do this"? What's that like for you?
I don't know. It's really weird that we're like cool again. It's like everywhere we go, people are like, "Man, yeah, you guys are awesome," and I'm like, "Where were you?" And people were like, "Oh, we didn't even make the top 300 best bands that came out of Chicago. We didn't even make the list. We didn't. It wasn't even that we didn't make the top 100 or top 50, but all these bands that aren't even existing or never even like sold out like Metro or made this list, and we didn't even make the list." So I'm like, this was like 5 years ago, and now it's like I can't go to a bar without somebody being like, "Man, if it wasn't for you, I would have never started, making music." And it's just cool. So I'm not like scoffing. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. It's a lot of fun to get some of the love that we were missing in the early days. We always got it from our fans, but never really from our peers.
Sure.
So it's kind of cool to get it from our peers now.
Sure. So give me the details about the album. You said it drops in about a month. Am I right in saying that?
April 14th.
Okay, gotcha.
The pre-order goes up on March 24th, along with the second single. So people are going to be able to buy Midnight and Midnight and Sun in My Eyes on March 24th. So if you buy the whole record, you get both songs, and then you'll get the full record on the 14th. And then on the April 15th is the House of Blues show. I think there's like 60 tickets left that are like, and a lot of people are upset because they're only balcony tickets, and it's like, people are used to being able to go to our shows like the day of. They've always sold out, but they sell out the day before the day of the show, and we more than like, I think the first day we sold out more than a third of it, and it was people are excited about new music, so it's great. So there are a few tickets left. If people, I don't know when you're airing this, but there's a few tickets left. If you haven't gotten them, might not get them by the time this airs. So
sure. Are you finding creating the new record, a record today is different than maybe 7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah. For us, or just making a record in general?
I would guess in general, just putting it out in the massive amount of platforms there are now and how people consume music, just compared to when it was, 8 years ago.
In some ways, it's easier because you can get your music out there so much easier. It's easier to get people to listen to it when it's free, like YouTube and all that other stuff. But it's been very difficult for us because we're doing everything on our own, and it's grueling. It's grueling because we, have our regular lives and day jobs and other commitments to, I want to, I just got back from work right now, and after going to the gym, and I'm gonna get to spend an hour with my girl, and then I'm gonna go to bed, and because I'm working all day on music, and then right after that, going to the gym and doing band stuff and figuring it out. And while the whole day we're sending each other text messages and being like, well, what are we doing with this? What's happening with that? And it's a lot of work, and without a manager, label, publicist, it's really, really hard. We do have a lot of help from Mutant League Records, who's putting out our vinyl, and then Earshot Media is helping us out because they have a partnership with Mutant League. But outside of that, we're doing this solo. We're doing this on our own, as DIY as it gets. So,
my last question: goals for the year, and just I guess upcoming tours. And what are you thinking right now? Or is it even possible to think in that far down the road with so much?
I can't. Yeah. It's just so much shit going on. Look, I said this, and I'll say this over and over and over again, and I don't know how much of this goes along with the rest of the guys, but I think they're in the same boat. We when I first brought the first song to Adam, we got together, wrote a couple, showed him a bunch of stuff, and we wrote some stuff, brought it to the guys, recorded a record. I mean, brought it to the guys and started arranging the record, right? And and I started talking about this and that because the record started becoming a reality. And I never thought this record was going to happen. In 2008, if you would ask me, or is LBC ever going to make another record? I said probably not. I don't think it'll ever work out for us. I don't think, I just don't think it'll work. And then a lot of stuff happened, and I think a lot of why this record is even a record is to the song Storm Chaser, because I just wouldn't give up on that being a Lucky Boys song, even if it was just going to be a single, and then it turned into this whole album. And then when this album happened, I was sitting there going, this is insane that this is happening, that I'm in this room right now doing final pre-production with Johnny K, who's a Grammy-nominated producer that wants to work with us. And I think either later tonight or by tomorrow, I'm going to have the mastered copy of this record in my hands. That's success to me. Everything else on top of that is just cool. If you like it, I hope you do. That's great. But if you don't, I don't give a shit. I mean, it's like, this is the coolest thing that's happened in my musical career, I honestly think, ever. Going to Europe with Super Happy Fun Club is up there. Playing for 18,000 people in Tampa with the Lucky Boys is up there. Wow. There's a lot of really cool. Hearing my song on the radio for the first time is up there. But this takes the cake, man. I mean, and so anything that happens after this,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just awesome. It's cool. Yeah. I don't want it to. I think that this is a record is the best thing that we've ever done in our lives. So I really hope it does take. I really hope that it gets bigger than it ever has before. But if it doesn't, I'm still cool with it. I'm still great with everything. I think that it's already a success. So
that's awesome. Well, thanks again for speaking with me. Is there anything else that I did ask you that we didn't cover that you wanted to bring up?
Not really, man. Just
Cool.
March 24th is when the pre-order comes up. So hopefully everybody picks up the record.